Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back to some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we're talking about a topic that I'm personally passionate about. I can't wait to hear our guest's perspective. We're talking about breaking out of boxes and also optimizing our company's culture. I have a serial entrepreneur with me today, run multiple businesses, currently running and growing multiple businesses. And we're in for, I think, an awesome episode. So Betsy Pepine, welcome to the show. And thank you for being here.
Happy to be here, Brandon. Thank you.
I also can't tell you how nervous I was to say your name and mispronounce it. So
you got it.
I know. Oh, just breath of fresh air. The episode to me is over. At this point, whatever happens is gravy. But anyway, all jokes aside, you are a serial entrepreneur. You have 5 businesses currently. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You got a lot going on. When you talk about breaking out of boxes, yes, that's a very interesting topic. I mean, you're already outside the box so far because you have 5 businesses. Most people don't even have 1. What do you mean when you say breaking out of boxes? Where does this topic come from?
Well, what I mean is we're all faced with metaphorical boxes that we find ourselves in. It's a human condition. Boxes could be the expectations, opinions, the stereotypes of others, our family of origin, our culture, our religion. It could be based on our industry, our gender, our race, the roles we play in our lives, the wife, the husband, the daughter, the son. They come from everywhere. They're a human construct. I've got 2 dogs sitting beside me. You don't see them contemplating if they're going to be in the good girl box today by doing X, right? It's truly a human construct, but they can be confining. Sometimes they're good, but sometimes they're confining. They can serve us at certain periods of time in our life. And sometimes if you're like me, you tend to overstay your welcome and you really have to be pushed out of the box. And it can create a limiting life experience and hardships that we don't have to endure if we are aware of the boxes that we are in and if we're conscious if they're not serving us any longer. So that's what I mean by metaphorical boxes. One of the ones I found myself in, actually, I put my business in it very early on when I started in real estate. My first hire was a woman that I had worked with at a prior company. I brought her on as our assistant because I was flying by the seat of my pants. I was a broker. I had several agents working for me, but I really had no plan in place, but I knew we needed an assistant. I brought her on. She was fabulous. And a year and a half went by and I hadn't taken a vacation in a long time. I was a single mom. So I booked a trip, a cruise for my girls and I. So excited to be away and disconnect. And 2 days before my cruise, this woman asked to meet with me and I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I thought she wanted to go over what she was going to have to do while I was away. And she sat down with me and told me she was quitting. And not only was she quitting, she was going to my biggest competitor at the time. And I did not see it coming. And really was shell shocked, but at least had the wherewithal to ask her why. What could I learn? I'm always about what can I learn whenever I'm in a situation that I don't want to be in again. I immediately pivot to what can I learn from this? Because I'll do everything I can not to find myself in the same situation. And so she was very honest with me. She said, Betsy, you don't have a sense of family here. Very true. She said, you don't have a mechanism for giving back to the community. Absolutely true. And she said, I don't see a path of growth. I couldn't fault her for any of those 3 things. She was right on. I had never considered that. I had been in the pharmaceutical industry for my entire career prior to getting into real estate. And that industry at that time, it was, you went to work for a paycheck, you were exchanging your time for a paycheck, and then you went home to your family, you went home to volunteer. Those were not expectations I had of my employer. So I had naturally put my my company in that same kind of box. Like I just had to provide work and provide a good paycheck and someone would stay, not realizing the world had changed. So that night, instead of packing for the cruise, I went to the bookstore and I got a bunch of books, bought a bunch of books on culture. How do people create a culture intentionally? That was a topic that I was not taught in business school and had not been modeled for me. And so I had to learn that. I felt like a kindergartner learning a new topic, and came back from that cruise very intentional about creating a wonderful culture. And I actually put on my vision board, I live in Florida, and the state of Florida has an award every year, and it's best places to work, and the Florida best places to work. And I put that award on my vision board. And several years later, we got that award. And in an industry where one of the things they judge you on is retention, and I'm in an industry with a 33.5% of your agents walk out the door every year, and we won that award. So it really made me rethink the box I had put my business in. And how do I create a sense of family? How do I've always given back, but I never even dreamed about doing that in the work context, and creating opportunities for my employees and staff to give back to the community. We created a nonprofit. We do that all the time now. But had I not had that experience of her leaving me and asking those questions, what could I have done for you not to have made this decision? I wouldn't be here where I was today. I didn't understand that, the importance of that, and the importance of creating a family and cultivating a family. I think that's so important now, especially post-COVID, where so many people are working remote. We're not all under the same rooftop at the same time. That has become even more important and a little bit harder to do. But that's been a focus of mine, as well as creating paths for people for growth. At the time that she left, she was the only staff. There really was no growth path for her. But now we are much more intentional about cross training, about career development, and how can we help people throughout their careers and also their lives. We're now looking at a much more holistic approach. We do vision board exercises, which I've always been a big proponent of. Some people mock them. I don't. They've served me quite well and got me where I am. We also do the vision of life exercise every year and help agents and staff, define what are their 6 to 8 life pillars. Career is just one of them. You have to have a balanced life. And how can we help them in all of their life pillars? Now, we're not experts in those other life pillars, but we can help them identify mentors, help them identify goals. You mentioned earlier pre-recording about, somebody wanting to focus on their health. We can help guide them and encourage them in those other life pillars, even though we are clearly in the career pillar. So that's been one box that I found myself, but there's been a myriad of other boxes that I have found myself both in my professional life and in my personal life that I'm passionate about helping others recognize and getting out of if they no longer serve us.
I love that story, and it's so cool to see the path you took, because it's a fork in the road moment, right? It's like my one and only employee quit, my vacation is ruined. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go find a job. Mm-hmm. And then there's the path that you took, or something similar. I will say though, this is me being a little bit petty, because I've had this happen to me. It's always 2 days before a vacation. Like, why can't they just wait a week? I will be back in a week. You couldn't wait for that? Am I right?
I agree. And it's funny because when people choose to rehome themselves, they tell me on a Friday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Just
you had to go ruin my weekend. I mean, come on. Right? Anyway, all jokes aside, no, it's I think they do it. You have to understand where they're coming from and have a little empathy. Like, that person probably couldn't have gone another minute suffering in that role, in that environment, and it's suffering for them. It may be perfectly fine for you. Yeah. So we have to respect that as entrepreneurs. Yeah. And understand that we caused it, and you did. I mean, you owned it right away. So kudos to you. But the other thing I'll say, that a lot of people have that realization that you did, where you went and dove into books and learning and building a better culture. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. And I'm not a proponent of one. Well, I know which one I pick, and it's the one you picked. But my wife worked for a company a number of years ago before we decided that she was going to stay home and raise our kids. And it was a company that it was work. It was a competitive, driven culture,
Hmm.
and there was no room for family. Um, didn't jive with her at the
Hmm.
time, and that's why she ended up leaving. But it was great for people who liked that, and
Hmm.
but they made the intentional choice to be that. They didn't try to be all things to all people. And I think,
Hmm.
Betsy, that's what you're saying is you did not want to be that. You wanted to have the family
Yeah.
environment, but you
Yeah.
had to choose.
Right.
And that's all I'm saying is you can
Hmm.
go down whatever path you want for your culture, but
Hmm.
it has to be an intentional choice. And I respect you for the one that you made.
Yeah.
Do you remember some of those books that you read? I'm just curious for audience listeners who want to go down this path. What are some of those
Um,
culture books?
I know, I mean, this was years ago. I remember it was the Zappos book. Um, it
Yeah, good one.
was Dave Ramsey had a great book on culture. I don't remember what the title was. Um, the Nordstrom Way was one of them.
I love that book. Sorry, that's
Yes, I do
fantastic.
too. More recently, Unreasonable Hospitality, fantastic
Hmm.
book. Five Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yep.
Um, what else? Mm, um, I'm trying to think. There was one hotel. I can't remember which hotel chain it was. One of the hotel chains had an
Mhm.
excellent book on hospitality. Um, which name is escaping me. So those were the ones at the time that I can recall.
Yeah. No, those are I think I've read most of those and they're fantastic. That's super cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Ritz Carlton even had a program I went to. I drove down to the Ritz
Oh yeah.
Carlton in Naples and did a 2-day workshop with them. And we went behind the scenes and we got to see their
Mhm.
culture firsthand. And that was phenomenal. You
Yeah,
know.
they have. I mean, they have one of the best in the world. Also, one of the best customer experiences in the world.
Mhm.
I've studied them. I can't remember. Maybe it was in a book, and that's the one that we both can't remember the title of.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they need to do better at their marketing, but their culture is great. So we're
Yeah.
not going to knock them for that.
Yeah.
All right. So then moving forward, you have five businesses, and I think this is interesting because, like I said in the intro, most people don't ever own one
Mhm.
successfully and do it well. You're doing it with five,
Mhm.
and you're getting awards, which means that you are doing something right.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you're doing a lot more than just something right. But how do you do that? How do you manage five businesses? You're obviously not in all of them day to day.
Mhm.
What is your path for, or what was your path to grow them to where they are now?
So, and I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but this is how I did it.
No, there's no better way. There's your way. We're here to hear your
Well,
way,
I
and
didn't.
everyone else who wants to critique it can go kick rocks.
So I generally research a lot of things before I do things. I did not research this path, so that's why I said that. So there's probably a more tried and true way. So for me, what has worked is I find a passion, which for me has been real estate. So I got my real estate license, and I get bored easily, which entrepreneurs do. So then I was a realtor, and then in Florida you have to be a realtor for 2 years, or excuse me, a sales associate for 2 years before you can be a broker. So then I got my broker license, and I was just going to be a broker, a solo broker. That was my plan. Well, then agents started asking to join the brokerage. So I'm like, sure, go ahead. So then, and that's when I found myself with this employee that left, because it's like, I really didn't have a plan. And sadly, I tend not to. And so then once I had the brokerage and I had agents, then I got bored again. And I thought, okay, well, instead of going into a new industry, how can I serve? I wake up every morning asking myself, how can I serve? It could be, how can I serve my dogs? How can I serve my neighbors? How can I serve the people at the grocery store? How can I serve my customers and my agents? So then I started opening businesses that made sense. So the first one I believe was property management. So a lot of sellers at the time, the market wasn't great, couldn't sell their homes, but they decided to rent. Great, let's open up property management. I've always had rental income coming in from my own rental properties. That was an easy one for me. And I tend to stay very involved at the beginning because I like to know my businesses. I think it's hard to manage businesses from above if you've never been in them. That's just me. So I like to be in them at the beginning, but then I like to find somebody to come in. So that's what I did with property management. The next one I added was title, because in Florida, sellers choose the title company. So I'm like, we're already closing them. We're already going to the closings. Why not have the closings in house? So I started the title company. For that one, I actually got a partner, which I've never done before. First one didn't work out. I'm not a big fan of partners, just from my own personality, but I knew enough that I didn't know enough about title to do it on my own. So I found a second partner and I do that with them. And we have that in-house. Fourth one was mortgage. I opened up that on my own, bought into a franchise, which I had never done because I knew I needed some support. And then opened up the fifth one was the real estate school, which was for the agents, and it was a recruiting vehicle for us, which was fantastic. And it helps our own agents get educated as well. So that's how I kind of pick my lines of business, is how can I already serve the current customers I have? Because keeping a customer is a lot easier than finding a new one. So that's how I've done it. Then once I'm familiar with the business, then I hire somebody, a broker or director, whoever, in charge of that vertical for me. And then, so now for me, for my day to day, I have a broker for the real estate company. I have a broker for the property management company. I have the partner for the JV, the real estate school. I have a director managing that school. The mortgage company I actually closed. We were open 5 years. It was such a, for a variety of reasons, just a major headache. I closed it 2 years ago and started a preferred lender program, which we benefit more from that in so many ways, service and financially, than we ever did in the mortgage company. And then we opened up the nonprofit, which I'm very passionate about, helping families who will never use our services, affordable housing, people that are cost burdened in our North Central Florida. We are the highest cost burden county in the state. And so we help build affordable housing for families that, would never have an opportunity to buy a home, let alone use a realtor service.
Yeah. And can I just say, before you dove into that, you said, this is my way. It's not for everybody. That's why I say go kick rocks, because you have done that so expertly. And that's what I think a lot of people miss when growing their business. Business A, they get bored with, and they want to tack on some other revenue stream. And it's completely unrelated to the first one. You built such a full circle of service to your ideal client that it just makes natural sense. And you don't have to do it with other businesses. You could do it with referral and affiliate and JV partnerships. Like you obviously have one of those.
Yeah.
I think people miss that so often. You can be bored, start something else, and still have it serve your core mission.
Right. So true.
And go ahead.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, that's why I think, that's just a masterclass in how to both diversify your business and grow it at the same time, and not want to pull your hair out at the end of every day. Right. I've just seen that too many times the other way, and then you're allocating 50% of your resources here, 40 here, 10 here, all three fail, and you leave scratching your head because you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So good for you. And for those people who want to do it the other way, that's their problem.
The other thing that was a benefit that was unplanned is that it creates so much opportunity for growth for people that work for me, because we see so much crossover. People who don't realize real estate selling is not for them, they can go and be a staff agent in the property management division, or they can teach the real estate school. There's so much opportunity that they didn't have when I was just a solo broker, which I didn't even do it for that reason, but it's just become a wonderful avenue for them.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious, do you have the same core mission for all 5 of the businesses?
We do.
That's fantastic. Yep. I love this.
And the same core values.
Look at this. As you should, first of all, because you're at the head of all of them. But again, most don't. So this episode is a masterclass in how to grow a business and be a serial entrepreneur. So Betsy, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
If people want to learn more about you, I know you have a book, you do a lot of speaking and media appearances. Where can people learn more about you and all you have going on?
Sure. So I have a website. It's just my name, betsypepine.com. So you'll find out about me there and can order the book. The book's on Amazon and all major bookstores online. And then I'm also on all the social media channels with my name, Betsy Pepine.
Awesome. We'll put all of that in the show notes down below, wherever you're watching or listening. So you can reach out, you can grab a copy of the book. This was so fantastic, Betsy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Brandon.
For those of you watching and listening, we hope to see you tomorrow on another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Harmonious at Lunch podcast. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we want to invite you to join us in the Small Business Success Facebook group, our private group where guests and listeners come together to grow your business. We want impact-driven entrepreneurs who are ready to go to the next level in this group so we can all share ideas, collaborate, and grow our businesses together. Go to whatif.com/group, and we want to invite you to join today. See you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.